Yo, people, what is happening? Welcome back to another episode of the Pit Stop Lounge. This is episode number 3. Now, today, guys, is going to be a bit shorter than usual because, as you can probably tell, it's just myself today hosting because Malcolm, who normally accompanies me for every episode, is currently unavailable today. He's currently away for a couple of days, but he will be returning for the next episode, which is going to be in a couple of days' time. In a couple of days' time, we get more to that at the end of this episode. But as they say, the ball keeps on rolling. And before we get that ball rolling, guys, make sure to give us a like on our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages specifically for those who are listening to us for the very first time. We need to get those numbers up, guys. So make sure to do that. And for our Spotify listeners, make sure to give us a follow and show us some love by giving us a rating in the description in the Spotify description. So all right, let's get going, guys. And we're finally here. We are in race week, ladies and gents. We are pretty much in DRS range because by the time that this episode comes up, we will be in practice and most likely in qualifying, wherever you're listening to this from as well. So it might be the perfect time for me to give you my predictions for the upcoming season. But before we get into that, we have a couple of news to share. We have, as we did in the last episode, we're going to start with a couple of news that has hit the F1 scene. Which, to be fair, there's only been one major news to talk about because it's been pretty much all about testing. And also about Drive to Survive, which, by the way, we will get to Drive to Survive. Me and Malcolm will be talking about Drive to Survive in the next episode because, to be completely honest, guys, I still haven't finished the show yet. I'm currently on episode 8. But to give you just a brief thoughts on it, so far, yeah, it's been pretty much more of the same. I mean, if you've watched if you've watched Drive to Survive the last couple of seasons, you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. Very a bit over dramatic at some parts, but it's very enjoyable. But on that, we'll get to the next episode. But yeah, as you can probably tell, the only piece of breaking news that has hit the scene is that Christian Horner is here to stay. Now, for those who still had no idea what was going on, Christian Horner was under investigation due to allegations of misbehavior that were brought up by a female employee. We can we want to know more about that, go into the previous episode. But the FIA has analyzed the situation and he's been basically given the all clear. So he's here to stay. It would have been really disastrous if he had to step down, if he had managed to step down from his post. So all things are going well. All things basically have come to an end with Christian Horner about this investigation, and he is here in the main box. He's here the team principal. So the FIA has basically found out that there's nothing wrong with that. So probably not the I think probably right now it's probably going to die out in the couple of days, weeks, and months. But yeah, I won't be too sad. I think I wouldn't be. It wouldn't be shocking if this was brought up again by a journalist during a press talk or some other journalist. But let's get straight into the meat of the episode, which is going to be our predictions, guys. So it's going to be a big season, 24 races, the most in an an F1 calendar because not only the returning tracks, the tracks from last season are making a return, but also Imola and Shanghai are making a return. Shanghai, the first time it's happening, the first time it has made its appearance since the pandemic, because obviously in 2020, China was the epicenter of COVID-19, and the race basically had to be suspended because of the regulations as well. Imola as well. Last year it was also cancelled. Due to extreme weather conditions. So let's hope we don't see a similar situation happening again we don't see a similar situation happening again this year, but we'll see in the coming months ahead. So Shanghai and Imola are making a return as well, as Vegas is also making a return, and also your favorite tracks, Spa, Monza, Suzuka, Spain, Bahrain this week, and Jeddah the week after as well. So we have those up in command. We have those up in the air as well. Drive. It's also the first time that we have an unchanged lineup to our drivers this year. I mean, next year is going to be a completely different story, but this year, it's the lineup has been completely unchanged. So your favorite drivers are going to making a return as well. And the question on everybody's lips is: does anyone have the balls to stop Red Bull and Max Verstappen? Now, obviously, so far we only got a hint at testing, but from our first impressions, it looks like it's going to be a resounding no, because Red Bull looks like they're going to dominate the season yet again with the RB20. It looks like Red Bull and Co and Adrian Newey, etc., have nailed the car again. But we get to Red Bull, but we will be getting to Red Bull much later. So what we're gonna do, how I'm gonna be predicting the drive, doing my predictions basically is that we're gonna do this alphabetically. So it looks like that Alpine are going to be the team that's going to start first, and we're going to end it with Sauber, which they're now called Stake, as we mentioned in the previous episode as well. So let's start with the team that is first alphabetically, and that is Alpine. Now, Alpine last season had a really poor season last year. Lots of instability up top, with Otmar Sfauner and Bruno Permain getting sacked halfway through the season. Lots of the car was also underperforming. The Renault engine was easily the worst of the bunch. Very inconsistent car. They end up getting a sixth place finish. Ocon and with two drivers like Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly. It's for the caliber of those drivers. Yes, they only got one podium in Zandvoort and Monaco. However, it was a really underwhelming season for Alpine, and this year, it probably is going to be even worse. I'm probably fearing the worst for Alpine as well. Now, obviously, they have a new man up the helm with Bruno Famin, who's now the permanent CEO of the team, and he has a massive job on his hands. The first things first, that car. The Renault engine is very, very unreliable. It is very inconsistent. It's easily the worst engine of the whole lineup as well, and they have a really, really tough job on their hands as well. And also delivery. We mentioned just last time around. Looks like a really, really. It has the most disgusting looking car on the grid by a long way. And for my first impressions, it doesn't look like a car that is going to be pretty much at the top of the grid as well. So if I would predict it, and even just on testing itself, it looks really, it looks like it's going to be struggling quite a bit on the lower end of the grid. And they've also admitted that they're finding it hard to find the right spot of the car each week. They know that there's a lot of things that they have to improve on: the engine, the chassis, the aerodynamics, as we mentioned previously as well. And with that driver pairing, it doesn't look pretty. It doesn't look very, very pretty, because Ocon and Gasly are two very talented drivers. There seems to also be a beef between. There also seems to be some quite bad blood between these two drivers as well. I mean, Drive to Survive addressed this. It's been going on for a long. Their rivalry has been going on for quite a very long time now, and when you have two unhappy drivers, that sparks trouble for the team. And this year, from the looks of it, I just don't have the highest of hopes for Alpine. So if I would give them a position, if I would give them like where they're gonna end up, I'm seeing Haas, I'm seeing Sauber probably have worse cars than them. Williams, which will be the last team that we'll be talking about, looks like also a team that is under that same cost as well. So if I'm being honest, I'm giving them an 8. I'm giving them probably an 8th place finish. Bruno has a massive job on his hands, and it doesn't look like it's going to be a really positive season for them. However, I obviously wish every team the best for the upcoming season as well. So let's hope that they can shut me up and prove me wrong with the car. But as of right now, to give my final thoughts, doesn't it looks like it's going to be a struggle? It's going to be a really difficult season for Alpine, for both drivers as well. If they get a podium, if for me, if they manage to get a podium like last season, it's going to be. I think that can bring us that can be successful for the team as well. So yeah, give them probably an 8th place finish. As for Gasly and Ocon, probably around the mid. I've been probably lower than mid-table, I would say. Probably in that range as well. I think they'll be finishing. I mean, they finished 11th and 12th last season, which for them was nowhere near good enough. So probably it would be somewhere along those lines as well. Probably just a little below. I mean, just probably above 2 teams. Probably they'll be finishing Alpine. So yeah, Alpine 8th place finish doesn't look like a team that's sparking a lot of confidence for the season, so that will be an 8th place finish. So up next we have Aston Martin. Aston Martin, 5th place last season, strong, and they started they had a really strong first half of the season. With Fernando Alonso carrying the team with his experience, with his pedigree, among the sport as well. So and in the second half of the season, the upgrades came, and they had a really difficult second half of the season. They struggled. They struggled to keep up with the pace. With Red Bull, with McLaren, Mercedes, and also Ferrari as well. So they fell off a bit the pace. But for a team that, compared to 2022 to 2023, they've had a massive jump in form, and it was a really successful season for them. Now, what for this season, I think it's all about maintaining consistency for the team. Now, Fernando Alonso is in his final year of his contract. There's rumors swirling around that he might be that he might be one of the several drivers that will take the Lewis Hamilton seat at Mercedes. But obviously there's not just him. There's Ocon, there's Antonelli as well. So it's not just Alonso in the helm as well. So he'll be expecting a strong season for Aston Martin as well. So yeah, the most important thing for Aston Martin this season is consistency. The upgrades need to get they need to get the upgrades spot on, because ironically they got their upgrades wrong, because normally the upgrades need to be in the opposite, but in the case of Aston Martin, they got the upgrades wrong, and that's pretty much what they're expecting as well. Now, Lance Stroll really needs to perform. He's under a lot. I think for me, he's under more pressure than Alonso, in my opinion, because obviously his points tally compared to Alonso was much lower, and his development, if he really wants to fight his way up to the grid, Aston Martin need to get a lot more from Lance Stroll, because you don't want just one driver continuously carrying the team all season. So I'm expecting a turnaround in form for Stroll. Alonso, I mean, this guy's in his 40s now. You know what to expect with Alonso now. A driver in his 40s with so much pedigree and experience with Formula One as well. So I'm expecting another strong season for them. Now the question obviously remains: are Aston Martin going to maintain their momentum? Now, on testing, it looks like they've gone a bit backwards, but the proof of the pudding now is going to be in practice and qualifying, and most importantly, the race this coming weekend in Bahrain. So we'll get more answers to that as well. But as of right now, yeah, I think with Aston Martin, I'm expecting for them it's all about consistency this season. I think it's all about consistency and getting momentum to maybe give the top teams a run for their money. But to be honest, I think I'm seeing obviously four teams that have the upper hand on Aston Martin, and it looks like that if I would give them a position, I'm probably expecting maybe halfway, midway, probably like a fifth place finish for Aston Martin. It looks like it's going to be pretty much a bit of a similar route to the season. But for me, the most important thing is consistency. Will they do it? The question we'll find out obviously in Bahrain as well. That's where we'll get our first real impressions right now. But as of right now, they really need to keep up with if they really need to keep up with the momentum of the top teams. They need to get their upgrades right, and they need to get and they need to get obviously the upgrades right, and they need to get the best out of Lance Stroll specifically, and also Fernando Alonso. So let's hope let's hope that Aston Martin can basically give the top teams are around for their own money. Alpine 8th, Aston Martin 5th. Now for Alonso, expecting a top 10 finish as well. Lance Stroll, I'm not too confident with Lance Stroll, if I'm being honest. So I'll probably place him at the halfway stage, probably in 10th place, basically. And that's pretty much Aston Martin. All right, so up next we have Ferrari. Ferrari are up next. Third place last season. A bit of a downgrade compared to the previous season where they finished second. Fred Vasseur, second season with Ferrari as well. Second season with Ferrari, replacing Mattia Binotto in the season before. As Malcolm probably mentioned in the last episode, there seems to be some sort of guidance under Fred Vasseur. Obviously, Ferrari, we have to give some credit to them because they were the only team that won a race other than Red Bull last season. They only won one race in Singapore, one courtesy of Carlos Sainz. And speaking of Carlos Sainz, final season for him after being, in my opinion, ruthlessly replaced by Lewis Hamilton, obviously, because coming in 2025. So for Sainz, it is really not, I wouldn't say make or break, but if he really wants a proper if he wants to give the best possible send-off for Ferrari, I'm expecting him a much stronger season for him as well. Now, last season, in my opinion, he was the better out of Leclerc, based on his performances. Now, Leclerc was obviously bad luck affected his performances as well, and even the competition up front with Red Bull. We all know how competitive that Red Bull car was, but in my opinion, I think Carlos deserved more time with Ferrari. I mean, he was the better driver last season, and it is a similar route. He experienced also with McLaren as well. Just 2 seasons, and now having just 3 seasons with Ferrari as well. So this is farewell season for him. Expecting obviously a strong season for him. And also Leclerc. I think Leclerc is under a lot of pressure to deliver. If he obviously new contract for him now up to 2026, if I'm not mistaken as well. So if he's the poster boy of the team, he really needs to get the fucking ball rolling, man. Because last season was disappointing for him. It was a major downward spiral in form for him. Lots of many instances where he got retired. Also with Ferrari, they need to deliver their consistency, not just in qualifying but also in races, because we've seen a familiar routine last season where Ferrari were on the front foot in qualifying, but then when it came to the races, they struggled. Obviously, yeah, their errors in strategies, their errors when it comes to the team strategy, when it comes to the strategy of the race, when it comes to pit stops, etc. they've improved on that. But when it came to the races, obviously with Red Bull, we all know that that car was a rocket ship basically for last season, and Ferrari basically struggled. And obviously, towards the latter stages of the season, Mercedes were picking up some form, and they eventually lost their runner-up spot to them. So that is a big blow for them. And in my opinion, it's not just Leclerc who's under pressure, but also Fred Vasseur is also under pressure, because his personality isn't what you can associate with Ferrari as well, and he wants he needs to keep this team together, and under his guidance and direction, we're expecting a really I mean, with Ferrari, you expect great things with them. It's the most famous team in the entire sport, and with them, with that pedigree, with that reputation, you need you need results, and you need results to perform. And if Ferrari are going to have another same old season with their challenger car, which is called the SF24, they need to really challenge Red Bull. I think, for me, in my opinion, maybe McLaren, but Ferrari are the team that are the only team where they can provide a real challenge for Red Bull, in my opinion. Because, and if they don't do that, questions need to be asked for Fred Vasseur, in my opinion. Yes, I know it's only his second season, but in Formula One, we know it's a results-based business as well. We've seen, obviously, with Gunther Steiner, with Otmar Sfauner getting pretty much sacked or leaving their positions because of poor results and poor consistency as well. And the same applies for Fred Vasseur as well. Obviously, the drivers as well, they need to really perform with what they're given as well. And with Ferrari, I think they are ahead. When it comes to Red Bull, I think they're lacking a little bit behind Red Bull. But when it comes to the rest of the team, they seem to have the upper hand with the other teams. Early thoughts on the car. It looks fast. It looks like they got a lot of things right. Obviously, the delivery, what they're delivering on track as well. It looks, based on Leclerc's and Sainz's comments, the car looks more responsive on track. And that's what, obviously, what every drivers need. They need their cars, they need their vehicle, and even themselves to get that step forward as well. And all in all, I think their main aim of the season is to be on the front on that front row grid, maybe, basically. If not first, I'm expecting a really strong season for Ferrari. Probably, if I would predict, if I give them a position to predict, if I would give them my position prediction, it would be second. I think it looks like a team that, let's hope they learn from their let's hope they learn from their usual mistakes of last season. And if they do that, if they manage to do that, and if they manage to get the car, if they manage to get the best out of Leclerc and of Leclerc specifically, I think even Sainz as well. But if they get the best out of those drivers, maybe we expect a couple of race wins for them as well. So, all in all, second place for Ferrari. As for Sainz and Leclerc, in that top five, probably I will give them as well. Leclerc, I'm expecting him to get that in those positions, because if those drivers don't get a top five finish, it's not gonna be pretty for the Maranello team as well. So yeah, Ferrari second place finish, expecting big things for them, expecting race wins at the very least. If they get that right, I'm expecting a good season for them. All right, so up next is Haas. Haas straight into it. Probably that car is going, as I mentioned in the previous episode, back of the grid. They've first season without Gunther Steiner, leaving early on in this year. Ayo Kamatsu now is at the helm, and with Haas straight away, they're gonna finish. I think they're gonna finish last. They also admitted that during this weekend, they're probably going to be languishing at the bottom half of the probably at the bottom of the grid, maybe most probably last. So I admire their honesty for that as well. And with Magnussen and Hülkenberg, with those two experienced drivers, that obviously it doesn't sound, it's not great for a team like. Oh, sorry about that. Excuse me, guys. Obviously with Haas, I'm not expecting big things for them. Last season was more of the same for them. Pace and qualifying, complete and utter garbage in races. And honestly, they started the season quite well, but when they've reached near but just a couple of races later, they were completely off the pace and they never recovered from it. And Gunther Steiner saw enough. Basically, he had seen enough, and basically disagreements between him and Gene Haas, basically called Steiner called quits. Basically, so he's gone. Also gone is Simone Resta, who is the team's technical director. He's also gone. So Ayo Kamatsu now. His previous role in engineering, as director of engineering, he now has the role of team principal. And just like Bruno Famin, this guy has a massive job on his hands as well. I mean, probably even more so than Bruno Famin as well, because that car is just the VF23 is just not going to perform as well. And with the only saving grace I can give them with Haas is that they have two very experienced drivers with Nico Hülkenberg and Kevin Magnussen as well. And I don't really. For me, Ayo Kamatsu is. I mean, not just Hülkenberg and Magnussen have to deliver as well, but even Kamatsu needs to deliver. Yes, it's his first season, but the spotlight will be all on him now. That Steiner is gone as well. So, Haas. The 10th, I think, a 10th place finish for them. Not expecting great things, and it's and listen, I'm feeling a bit for the worst for Haas if I'm being honest as well. So 10th place, not expecting a great season for them. And if they don't deliver, probably I won't be surprised if they get replaced by another team in 2025 or 2026 as well, because we've seen this familiar route with other teams like Marussia, for instance. So 10th place, Hülkenberg and Magnussen again going to be probably in the bottom half most likely going to be in the bottom half of the grid as well. And if they get a couple of points out in the top 10, it will be a big season it will be a massive season. It will be a massive success. It will be a great success. It will be massively successful for them. But 10th place Haas, and that is pretty much it for Haas. Now, guys, halfway through the teams, perfect time to tell you that if this is your first time listening to the channel, make sure to give us a like, follow, and share on our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages. Guys, hit that like you're in the DRS range. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, make sure to hit us with a follow and show us some love by giving us a rating, by giving us a 5-star rating. And also, we're also doing a couple of polls on our Spotify pages, guys. So make sure to give us your thoughts on what came up as well. All right. So up next we mentioned Alpine, Aston Martin, Ferrari, Haas. We got McLaren, my team. McLaren is up next. Now McLaren finished 4th last season, and it was for me it was a complete transformation of a season, because we started absolutely horribly. We were languishing at the bottom half of the grid, at the back of the grid, and there was some serious questions asked about Lando Norris's future, as well as Zach Brown as well. There was a lot. He was under the cosh as well. But the upgrades came, and our season completely changed for the better. We were in some races challenging for Red Bull. We were challenging with Red Bull at the top half of the grid, and it ended up being another strong season for Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri as well. First rookie season for him, completely smashing it across the board. And for McLaren, the question, all that needs, I mean, there's two things that need to be addressed here. The first is that can Lando Norris finally get that long-awaited first win of the season? And that all depends on the car as well. And if our car starts on the front foot straight away, then I wouldn't be surprised if Lando gets his first win, and even Oscar Piastri as well. Now, Oscar Piastri, as you may know, as you probably know, he won a race. He won a sprint race last year as well at Qatar, and obviously for Lando, he needs to get. That's now probably I think 6 or 7 season now with McLaren as well, and. I think it's about time now that he gets a long-awaited first race win as well, and the question all lies if that car, if the MCL 38 is really on the front foot. And now, obviously, expectations are very, very high now, and we need to carry on that momentum that we finished off from last season finished off that last season. Because if we start exactly on the back foot, it's going to be a very, very identical season for McLaren. Now, Andrea Stella worried me during the last episode. Andrea Stella worried me a bit because he said that why there was the improvements of the car. He said that there were some aspects that were not entirely finished. However, he seems optimistic because he said that he is pleased that he made significant steps forward after the really, really difficult start that we had last season. And if his words are true, then all for the good. Now in testing as well, when it came to testing, the car seems to be on the right track and on the edge, but obviously now it all comes down to testing. It all comes down to this week's Grand Prix as well. Now that's where we'll get. That is where we get the whole catharsis of it basically as well. So for Lando Norris, I'm expecting another strong season for him, and obviously if he continues to deliver his consistency with his performances, then I won't be surprised that a team like Red Bull or even Mercedes can speak to him about a potential move. But Lando has signed a new contract for a new multi-year contract as well. So he's, for now, our star boy is here to stay. And I'm also expecting a strong season for Oscar Piastri. I'm probably expecting what I'm expecting for him is a much more sharpened version of him, a more mature version of him as well. Since this was his rookie season. And listen, we have a really, really exciting lineup with both drivers, especially with Oscar Piastri. Immense potential for him to deliver, just like Lando. So overall, all about momentum, all about carrying the momentum from last season when it comes to McLaren. And I'm expecting also for our team to get on the to be on the edge as well, to be on the front foot with Red Bull and even Ferrari. So for me, I'm probably giving them third for my team as well. I think Ferrari have the slighter edge, but I think the margins are not that far, in my opinion. I think with McLaren. However, if we start exactly like if we start exactly on the same foot as last season, it's going to be more of the same. And for me, the most important thing is we start on the front foot straight away. Because if we don't, it's going to be more of the same. So McLaren third place, and with Lando and Oscar expecting a top 10 finish for them. I'm not sure exactly how. I mean, for Lando, want him to get a top 5 finish, but we'll obviously see what the first couple of races will bring to the table as well. Because I think when it comes to predictions, you really need to to see each race basically. And with Andrea Stella, if he gets the car right, I mean, right now he's doing a super job as team principal, as the main man in charge alongside Zach Brown, obviously. So expecting another strong season for him. So yeah, McLaren 4th place, Lando and Oscar top 10 finish for them. Mercedes are up next with their W15, unchanged as per usual. George Russell and Lewis Hamilton, his swan song with Mercedes. Obviously before Mercedes, this was going to be a very important season for Mercedes, but now it's even more because Hamilton is now leaving at the end of this season, and the W15 is his final swan song with the season after 12 years now. Yeah, no, 11 years. Sorry, excuse me about that. 11 years now with the team. This is his final season for them. And listen, for me, Mercedes, I think they are the team that are under the most pressure for me, because the past 2 seasons were underwhelming from their point of view. Yes, they bounced back from their third place finish in 2022 to get a second place finish in 2023, but they admitted that they got the car wrong, and that car straight away, the W14, it didn't look like a car that was challenging Red Bull. It was straight away it was literally a car battling with the likes of Ferrari, McLaren, and even Aston Martin, to be fair as well, because Aston Martin started the season very, very strongly, and in some regards, and in some races during the first half, Aston Martin had the advantage over Mercedes as well. And yeah, for me, Mercedes, their W15, they need to improve their consistency. I think that car was very inconsistent with their W15, and the question lies is, will they learn from their usual mistakes? Will they finally get the better of the better of the regulations and start getting consistency out of both drivers every weekend right now? Now that for me, it's a team. It's a team all under pressure. From Lewis Hamilton, probably has the least amount of pressure because obviously he's set to leave as well. But Toto Wolff and James Allison, they need to get everything right with this car as well. I mean, with the physics right, their consistency as mentioned before, and they need to be ambitious with their car as well, and because they have a strong team. I mean, this team has won 8 constructor titles. They have 2 top drivers. I mean, Hamilton's probably in a major shout to be to be the best of all time, alongside Schumacher and Senna as well. So Toto needs to get the season right as well, because if they don't, there needs to be a lot of questions that need to be asked about that. He needs to manage, obviously, the relationship with the garage as well. And if they don't get it right, I think I won't be surprised if there will be an exodus of people leaving the team as well, because a team like Mercedes, they need to be on that in that top in with Red Bull. They need to challenge them massively, and from the looks of it, listen, I think Ferrari, McLaren, and Mercedes, that battle is going to be quite close in my opinion, and they need to be, and it's going to be a bit difficult to predict. But for me, I think Mercedes, I think they're lacking a little bit behind, slightly, not just largely, but slightly behind McLaren and Ferrari, in my opinion, as well. And listen, I think they look, both Hamilton and Russell look optimistic from the car launch. They look like that the car is going to make it easier, that it's going to make their life easier for both of them. And it looks like James Allison has said that their big focus was on improving their rear axle as well. Then they're working hard on that to maintain better control of the tires as well. So it's all about. I think it's all about improving their consistency for when it comes to Mercedes as well. So overall, whilst I do believe that I think they're gonna have a bit of a better season than last time round. I'm still putting them fourth, Mercedes, because I think McLaren and Ferrari, I think they got the car more on the front foot. I think they got the car more spot on as well. So overall, I think fourth place finish. With Hamilton, it doesn't look like. I think it doesn't look like it's going. I mean, Hamilton has nothing to lose basically. I mean, all he needs is a strong season, another strong season, maybe a couple of. I mean, what they need, Mercedes, is more podiums, a couple more podiums, and even maybe a race win as well. I mean, no race wins last year around, so they really need to improve their consistency, Mercedes, and even for George Russell as well. If obviously now Hamilton is leaving, Russell is now the man in charge, is now the leading man of the team. So he has also lots of pressure as well. So overall, expecting a better. I think Mercedes is all about improving their consistency this season, and if they get that right, I think I'm gonna expect a couple of podiums, maybe also one race win as well. So fourth place finish and another. And I think with Hamilton and Russell, probably outside the top five, because let's face it, I think it doesn't look like a car. I mean, for me, Mercedes, they don't look like a team that is a championship winning car. I think it's in that top four, and it's in that top three, top four race, in my opinion. So yeah, that is Mercedes. All right, Red Bull up next. Red Bull. I mean, listen. How can you top last season, winning pretty much, breaking every single record, winning almost every single race apart from Singapore, won by Ferrari, of course, and still look like and despite all that, they still look like a force to be reckoned with this season. Now, listen, do I think that Red Bull are going to dominate are going to win every single race like last season? Probably not. I think I'm expecting Ferrari, McLaren, even Mercedes to give them a bit more of a challenge as well. I mean, let's hope so, because if we're going to have another similar season, I mean, it's going to be another really uneventful season, in my opinion, as well. So while I don't expect them to win every race, I think they're going to dominate. I think they're going to once again dominate the entire season. I mean, that's my honest feeling about Red Bull as well. I mean, it looks like that the RB20, they got it right. They got the car spot on again. I mean, Verstappen. I mean, both Perez, but I mean even Perez, but Verstappen especially. He said that the car. I mean, he is literally. He said that the car looks better than last season. He feels that he likes everything about the car, every nook and cranny basically. So if he's saying that the car looks perfect to him, that is really concerning for not just the drivers but also. I mean, but also for the whole team. Shit. Sorry, guys. I mean, stuttering a bit there. But for the whole sport and fans as well. So it looks. I mean, I really. I mean, for Red Bull, it does. I mean, they're really. It looks. I mean, they're. When it comes to them, I mean. You're not expecting. I mean, you're not expecting much. I mean, this is very easy to predict. I mean, you can't predict them other than the first place finish as well. Now, obviously, Horner's staying on as well, so that is massive for the team as well, because without him, it would be really disastrous for the whole team as well. Adrian Newey is still there as well, and it looks like he has constructed another beast of a car. So he's still there as well. And with Max Verstappen, I'm expecting him to break more records. I think. I probably look if he breaks his last season's tally, it would be sensational for him. I mean, and listen, with he's only 26, and with the amount of races he's winning, um, he is quickly going to demolish. I think he's quickly going to demolish Schumacher's record and probably even Hamilton's record as well, unless he hints at an early retirement as well. But Red Bull expecting more of the same for them. It's going to be another, most likely, it's going to be another dominant season for them. It's going to be another dominant season for them. And first place for them. I think I'm expecting Max to break his previous season's tally for them. And first place. And that's pretty much it for Red Bull. Their sister team now. I'm talking about Red Bull's sister team, which is Racing Bulls Visa Cash App, formerly known as AlphaTauri. Racing Bulls, another team that has gone under a major change up front, with Franz Tost leaving and now Lauren Meckier taking charge of the team now. Yuki Tsunoda third season alongside Daniel Ricciardo, who won the seat over Nick De Vries, as you may all know, doing that change almost in the halfway stage of last season. And also, despite that injury, Ricciardo managed to win the seat. Obviously, he missed half of the season because of his hand injury, and he's now won the seat over him and also Liam Lawson, who replaced him in some ways this season as well. Now, Racing Bulls as a team, they are the most difficult team to predict because they're under entirely new leadership, they have an entire new brand behind them as well, entire new livery as well, and also the team. And with regards to so obviously the car, there's a lot of new components, and there's many features and components that obviously they've taken a lot of inspiration from Red Bull's car last season. So there are signs that we might see a much improved car from last season, but so far we've only known so much about AlphaTauri. So that's why I'm for now. I'm putting them in sixth because to be honest, it's a bit of a rock and a hard place for this team right now, because the question is, are those components going to work, or are we going to see a bit of a similarity from previous seasons as well? So for Racing Bulls, yes, I will give them probably I'll give them probably like around a sixth place finish. I think they're going to challenge right around Aston Martin in my opinion, but also obviously comes down to the components of the car. That's that is the whole basis of Racing Bulls. So yeah, that's that. With regards to Danny Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda, probably they will be right around the bottom half of the grid as well. Penultimate team we're going to talk about, that's Sauber, another team under a new brand called Stake now instead of Alfa Romeo. Now, obviously, Sauber are a team that is under a lot of there's a lot of stability. So, with regards to Sauber, it's a team that obviously they're a bit of a limbo process because they're about to be switched to Audi in 2026. So this season is going to be a bit of it's about steadying the ship basically. It's a team in transition at the moment. Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu, same drivers from last season as well under the new team. Now, obviously, Sauber, I'm liking the fact that they have a new livery. Their look of the car is nice, but what obviously the team said, that this is a completely new car. It's not an evolution of their car of the previous season as well. So with that, you don't expect many ambitious, a lot of things going at the right foot straight away. So, and that's why for me, they look like a team that's going to be in the bottom half of the table. I think they would battle either. I think Haas and Alpine right around those tracks as well. So I'm not really very too optimistic about their team as well. Um, uh, Bottas is in his final year of his contract, and Zhou Guanyu has now signed a 1-year extension with the team. But obviously, this season for them, it's all about it's a transitional season for Sauber. So I'm not expecting many big things for them other than steadying the ship, reducing the gap between them and the rest of the field. So if they continue on like last season with the same with that consistently large gap behind everyone else, then it's not going to be a great season for them, unfortunately. So, but if they manage to do a deal, I'm expecting it will be a step up from last season as well. So again, Sauber, not expecting much. A transitional season. It's all about steadying the ship, and that's why I'm going to give them a 9th place finish for them. It's probably the most realistic I can possibly hope for. I think with Sauber, it is clear that they're focusing on 2026 because they're going to be switched to Audi now. Probably there will be new drivers. If Zhou Guanyu doesn't really step it up because this is now his 3rd season, 6 points during his first two seasons, and now this is the season where he really needs to get his mojo going. He needs to really get up and going, because if it's going to be another similar season for them for him, it's going to be more of the same, and I don't think Joe is going to survive that much longer in Formula One since it's a results-based business. So yeah, 9th place for Zhou Guanyu, and Bottas somewhere in the bottom of the grid. I would say. I think Bottas is another driver that doesn't have much time left, in my opinion, in Formula One. He was in Mercedes. Obviously, now he's in this team where it's severely underperforming, and it's a shame because Bottas is a really captivating driver. He always has that with the other drivers. So not expecting much from Sauber. 9th place finish, and if they steady the ship, then I think they will be all right. Okay, so lastly, we have Williams, 7th place last season. We see another team under new guidance with James Vowles, his first season coming straight from Mercedes, coming with a lot of experience and coming with a lot of silverware as well. Again, I'm pretty much going to repeat myself with this. With Williams, is that last year was a successful season for them, improving on their previous season where they finished rock bottom, largely had due to Alex Albon carrying the team, just a bit similar to Fernando Alonso in that regard. And but for me, Williams, they have to watch out. They have to watch out. They have to be a bit cautious here because they had this regular team of having a good season, and then the previous season they finished dead bottom because they didn't get the car off. So House has stressed for patience with the car because it is a team that needs a lot of patience because it's a team that has a lot of history. It's been struggling for a very long time due to obviously changes up top. The performance of the car was really underperforming in that. And now the big decision they've had here, obviously, is that Logan Sargent they have confidence with Logan Sargent. He's staying for 2024. Obviously, just 1 point last season, so for a rookie season, again, not going to be too harsh on him, but he now needs to really step it up for this season, because if it's going to be another same old season, I think it's going to be. I think I won't be. It wouldn't be surprising for me that he would be replaced by another driver. So maybe he's going to be there for the long term, same as James Vowles as well. So if Sargent can take that step forward, then the patience will all be rewarded. I think Alex Albon as well. I'm expecting him to take even more charge for him to take the helm at Williams, and I think Williams. I mean, it's going to be evident that they're going to be in that category of in that bottom half category, which is the reason why I'm gonna be placing them in seventh place, just like last season. But if but I'm expecting them to maybe bridge the gap between them and their other rivals at the back of the grid. So um, uh, maintaining speed of development, I think it's key for them. I think they need to take another step forward for this season, because that's always what teams need to focus on as well for that regard. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much it, guys. That is the end of the third episode. Hopefully, for next week, Malcolm will be making his return for next Sunday's episode, which we will be talking about. We'll be giving our thoughts on the Bahrain Grand Prix. And we're also going to give our thoughts on Drive to Survive. We're going to give our full thoughts. We're going to give our very, very quick thoughts of the season, because it will be pretty much a repetition of the previous season as well. So that will be all for the next episode about basically we focus on the race. So yeah, guys, thanks so much for the support. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you for the next episode.